Image prompt: a dimly lit grand ballroom in a sleek New York City hotel at dusk, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the glittering skyline. In the foreground, an elegant woman in a tailored black gown stands alone at a reserved table for two, her expression a mix of steely resolve and quiet fury. Empty chairs beside her now occupied by a diverse group of young professionals in modest attire, laughing nervously as they clutch champagne flutes. The opulent chandeliers casting long shadows that symbolize fractured family ties, captured in hyper-realistic cinematic style with warm golden hour light filtering through the glass. I never thought I'd stare down the barrel of my own reflection and pull the trigger on everything I knew. But there I was, in the mirror of that sterile midtown clinic. My face, his face, staring back with eyes that weren't mine, whispering the incantation that sealed the swap. My parents had built their empire on my back, buried my innocence under their lies, and skipped the one night that should have been my coronation. So I took their thrones, invited the ghosts they'd silenced, and watched the whole damn facade crumble from the inside out. It started with a single betrayal that tasted like battery acid in my throat, the day I signed away 5 years of my life for a crime that wasn't mine. My name is Sophia Hale, and up until 6 months ago, I was the invisible architect of the Hale legacy. Picture this: a sprawling family conglomerate in the heart of Manhattan, Hale Enterprise, churning out luxury real estate developments that dotted the skyline like diamond-studded knives. My father, Victor Hale, was the silver-haired fox on all the Forbes covers, the guy who schmoozed senators over dry martinis at the Polo Lounge. My mother, Anna, was the ice cream curator, turning our penthouse into a revolving gallery of modern art that screamed, "Old money, new sins." And me? I was the ghost in the machine, the one who crunched the numbers, greased the palms, and kept the IRS from knocking down our door. But that morning in the fall of 2024, as the leaves turned bloody on Central Park West, everything shattered. I was 28, fresh off a grueling merger that netted us $50 million in waterfront properties down in Miami. I'd pulled all-nighters in my shoebox apartment in Chelsea, fueled by black coffee and the promise of finally earning my seat at the family table. The partnership gala was set for that very night, a black tie affair at the Plaza, $15,000 a plate, where Dad was supposed to announce me as the new EVP of acquisitions. It was my moment, the one I'd bled for since interning unpaid at 16. The call came at 7:15 a.m., my phone buzzing like a hornet on the nightstand. Unknown number. But I answered anyway, habit from dodging bill collectors in my early 20s, back when Mom forgot to co-sign my student loans. Sophia Hale. The voice was gravelly, laced with that Jersey edge that said cop before the badge even flashed. Yeah. Who's this? Detective Marco Ruiz. NYPD Financial Crimes. We need you down at the station. Now. Something about embezzlement from Hale Enterprises. Embezzlement. The word hung in the air like exhaust fumes. I'd been the one auditing the books, spotting the $2.3 million siphoned into offshore accounts tied to a shell company called Apex Holdings. I'd flagged it to Dad 3 weeks ago, in a hushed conference room overlooking Bryant Park. It's bad, Victor. Looks like insider diversion. We need to loop in counsel. He'd leaned back in his leather throne, steepling his fingers. Handle it quietly. Soft. Family first. Remember what I did for you after that little shoplifting scrape in high school? The scrape was no such thing. I'd been 15, caught lifting a necklace from Bergdorf's, not for me, but because Mom had dared me during one of her bonding shopping sprees, testing if I had the Hale grit. Dad buried it with a fat check to the store and a stern talk about discretion. But this was federal. By noon, I was in cuffs, paraded through the precinct like a trophy kill. The charges: wire fraud, money laundering, the works. $2.3 million gone. And every digital trail looped back to me, my login, my approvals, my goddamn signature on the wire transfers. I screamed innocence from the holding cell, but the evidence was ironclad. Dad's lawyers showed up eventually, but only to negotiate my plea. Take the deal, Sophia, he'd said over a glitchy video call. His face pixelated, but his eyes cold as the East River. We'll get you out in 5. Think of the optics. Optics. That's when I knew. It wasn't a mistake, it was a setup. Mom had orchestrated the whole thing, using her art world connections to funnel the cash through fake auction sales. Dad turned a blind eye because it padded his political donations. Rumors swirled he was eyeing a Senate run. And I was the fall guy, the loyal daughter who'd always cleaned up their messes. The plea bargain landed me 5 years at Rikers. Minimum security, but soul-crushing, all the same. Sentencing was a blur of flashbulbs and whispers. Hale heiress turns state's evidence. Or does she? The Gala? Cancelled. Or so I thought. No. They rescheduled it without me, turning my triumph into their eulogy. Prison was a pressure cooker of regret and rage. I shared a cell with a lifer named Carla, a former Wall Street shark who'd done time for insider trading. She had stories that could curdle milk, tales of black market deals, underground networks that made the dark web look like a lemonade stand. One night, after lights out, she leaned in close, her breath smelling of contraband menthols. You Hales ain't the only ones playing God, chica. Ever hear of the switch? The switch. It sounded like urban legend, whispered among the white-collar crooks like a forbidden spell. A rogue neuroscientist, Dr. Elias Crow, exiled from Johns Hopkins after ethics violations. He'd cracked body transference, not full sci-fi swap, but a temporary neural hijack via a black market neural implant. Plant the device, sync the frequencies, and for 72 hours, you could puppet another body while your consciousness rode shotgun in theirs. Reversible, if you had the code. Deadly, if you didn't. Why tell me? I asked, heart pounding against the thin mattress. Carla grinned, teeth yellowed from years of bad habits. Because I know Crow. And you got that look. The one that says burn it all down. She smuggled in the contact, a burner phone number etched on a scrap of legal pad. I waited for my first unsupervised rec hour, heart slamming like a gavel. The call connected on the second ring. Dr. Crow, this is Sophia Hale. I need to become someone else. His laugh was dry as autumn leaves. Everyone does, Miss Hale. But for you, it'll cost more than money. It costs everything. The implant went in during a dental procedure, arranged through Carla's connections, a quick jab in the jaw under the guise of a root canal. Tiny, untraceable, humming with latent code. Crow shipped the activation vial via a drone drop over the prison yard, disguised as contraband gum. 1 dose, and I'd be ready. But who to swap with? The target had to be someone close, someone whose life I could dismantle from the inside. My mind raced through the Rolodex of grudges, the junior exec who'd stepped into my shoes, the DA who'd pushed my plea, or
Victor Hale.
My father. The kingpin who'd sacrificed his pawn. The plan crystallized over stolen library hours.
Skriblaton napkinsi de fluslate.
Parole hearing in 3 months, early release for good behavior. I'd walk free, attend the rescheduled gala as the prodigal daughter. All forgiveness and photo ops.
But en route.
In the back of a nondescript Lincoln Town car arranged by Crow's network. I'd trigger the swap. 72 hours to unravel the empire, expose the lies, and hand the reins to those who'd truly earned them, the underpaid analysts, the evicted tenants, the forgotten partners like me. The night before release, I lay awake, the implant buzzing faintly against my skull like a trapped hornet. Freedom tasted like ash. What if it failed? What if I got stuck in his skin forever, drowning in his regrets? But the rage was a better drug. It whispered that this wasn't just revenge, it was justice. American style, raw, ruthless, and ripe for the headlines.
Parole grand-aide.
The gates clanged open on a crisp November morning, and I stepped into the light, a free woman with a demon riding her shoulder. The town car idled at the curb, tinted windows hiding the driver who'd become my unwitting accomplice. I slid into the leather seat, the vial cold in my palm. One prick of the auto-injector against my thigh, and the world tilted. Consciousness fractured like glass under a boot. I felt myself unraveling, threads of self pulling taut across an invisible chasm. Then snap. I was adrift, a passenger in the ether, watching my body slump forward as the driver panicked, pulling over on the FDR drive. But I wasn't gone. I was surging, flooding into another vessel, Victor Hale's. His body was heavier than I imagined, laced with the weight of 60 years and too many stakes at Peter Luger. I gasped his gasp in the back of his own limo, en route to LaGuardia for a business trip to D.C. The mirror in the divider showed his face, salt and pepper hair slicked back, jaw set in perpetual command. But the eyes?
Mine.
Burning with borrowed fire. Mr. Hale, you okay back there? The driver glanced in the rear view, concern creasing his brow. I cleared his throat, voice booming deeper than I'd practiced.
Fine.
Jenkins.
Just.
A long night, liar's tongue, but it fit. The swap was seamless. Crow's tech a marvel of forbidden science. My body, now housing Victor's mind, would wake in the town car, disoriented but intact. He'd think it a blackout, a stroke maybe. By the time he pieced it together, I'd have moved the pieces. 72 hours.
Tick-tock.
First stop, the penthouse on Fifth Avenue. Elena was there, sipping espresso in her silk robe, scrolling auction bids on her tablet. She looked up as I, Victor, entered, surprise flickering in her Botox-smooth forehead. Victor, you're back early. Flight delayed. I forced his smile, the one that had charmed boards and bedrooms alike. Something came up. Need to talk. She arched a brow, setting down her cup. About Sophia's little stunt? The papers are eating it up. Heiresses fall from grace. Poetic. Really. Rage boiled in his veins, my rage. But I played it cool, sinking into his armchair like I owned it. Which,
For now.
I did. It's more than that.
Elena.
The books. They're not clean. Her laugh tinkled like breaking crystal.
Oh.
Darling. We've danced this tango before. Sophia took the hit. Clean slate. I leaned forward, his liver-spotted hands clasping. What if she didn't? What if she had proof? Elena's eyes narrowed, the mask slipping.
She doesn't.
We made sure. There it was, the chink in the armor. Over the next hours, I rifled through his study under the guise of prepping for the gala. Drawers yielded gold, encrypted drives with transaction logs, emails to Apex Holdings signed in her looping script, voice memos of Dad greenlighting the diversions for his campaign slush fund. The secret they'd buried? It wasn't just money. It was murder, wrapped in forgery. 10 years ago, during a hostile takeover of a rival firm, Dad had ordered a hit on the CEO, a car accident on the Taconic Parkway. The payout? Laundered through Mom's art deals. I'd been 20, interning, and stumbled on the discrepancies. To silence me, they'd framed me for a minor theft, nothing major, but enough to bind me in loyalty. Family protects family, Dad had said, handing me the first falsified ledger to fix. I'd done it, thinking it was survival.
Now.
It was my noose. By evening, the invites were sent from his email to the widow of that CEO, to the evicted families from our Brooklyn projects, to Carla and her network of ex-cons who'd lost everything to white-collar wolves like us. Reserved seats at the Hale Partnership Gala. Your presence honors the true builders of this legacy. The gala loomed, a glittering guillotine. I dressed in his bespoke tux, the fabric whispering against skin that wasn't mine. Elena eyed me warily over dinner, filet at Le Bernardin, but said nothing. She sensed the shift, the way my gait had sharpened, the pauses in conversation too deliberate. As the limo pulled up to the plaza, paparazzi swarmed like locusts. Flashbulbs popped, questions hurled. Mr.
Hale.
Thoughts on your daughter's release? Any family reconciliation? I waved them off with his practiced nonchalance. All in good time.
Folks.
Tonight's about looking forward.
Inside.
The ballroom was a sea of crystal and caviar. Chandeliers dripping light like liquid gold. Our table, prime real estate, front and center, sat empty save for two place cards, Victor and Elena Hale. Not for long. The first guests arrived fashionably late, Maria Delgado, the widow, in a simple black sheath that spoke of quiet grief. Beside her, Jamal Hayes, a former tenant who'd lost his brownstone to our eminent domain play, arm in arm with his wife, their faces etched with the wariness of survivors. Then Carla, bold as brass in a crimson gown that hugged her curves like a threat, flanked by two parolees who'd scrubbed our ledgers clean in forgotten audits. Elena arrived on my arm, his arm, her gown a cascade of emeralds that cost more than their yearly rent combined. She froze at the table, smile fracturing. Victor, what the hell is this? I pulled out her chair with exaggerated courtesy. Our guests of honor. My love. The people who earned these seats. Her whisper was venom. You're not right. Something's off. The orchestra swelled. And Dad's no. My speech was cued. As I took the podium, the room hushed. Spotlights hot on borrowed skin. Ladies and gentlemen, partners in progress. The words flowed, laced with barbs only they would catch. I toasted the unsung heroes, eyes locking on Maria's tear-streaked face. To those who've paid the price for our ambition. Murmurs rippled. Elena's hand clamped my wrist under the table, nails digging in.
Stop this. Now.
But I was just warming up. The applause died like a choked engine, leaving a vacuum of suspicion in the ballroom. I scanned the crowd from the podium, faces I'd only known from balance sheets now staring back with dawning recognition. The mayor was there, nursing a scotch, his aide whispering furiously. Across the room, my replacement, that smarmy prick Ethan Caldwell, shifted in his seat, tie askew like his conscience. Elena yanked me down as I returned to the table, her grip iron on my forearm. What game is this? Victor? Those people. Shoo, I murmured in his baritone, patting her hand with false tenderness. Optics. Remember? We're rehabilitating the brand. Maria Delgado reached across the linen, her voice a fragile thread. Mr.
Hale.
You invited us? After everything? I met her eyes, dark pools of loss, and felt a twist in his gut that might have been guilt if it were truly his. Mrs. Delgado, your husband built half the city before we repurposed his vision.
Tonight.
We correct that. Jamal leaned in, his Brooklyn accent thick with skepticism. Repurpose? That's what you call bulldozing my block for condos I can't afford? My kids still ask about the park we lost. Carla chuckled low, popping a oyster from the amuse-bouche.
Easy, Jamal.
The man's got a point. Or at least, a new one tonight. Her gaze flicked to me, sharp as a shank.
She knew.
Somehow, in this sea of strangers, she sensed the puppet strings. The main course arrived, lobster thermidor that cost more per plate than my old rent, and conversation stuttered forward. Elena played hostess, her laugh brittle as spun sugar, probing with questions that skirted the edges of accusation. So, Maria, how's the nonprofit? Still fighting the good fight against development. Maria's fork paused midair. We're surviving. Thanks to grants from folks who remember what real estate used to mean homes, not hedges. The table tensed, a microcosm of the fractures I'd come to exploit. While they dueled with words, Victor, excused myself to the powder room, slipping a USB drive from his cufflink compartment. Crow's tech had its perks, remote access to Hale servers via a subdermal ping. In the marble-clad stall, I uploaded the files, the ledgers, the emails, the audio of Dad's hit order, time-stamped and notarized digital ghosts. By dessert, molten chocolate torte that stuck like tar in his throat, the leaks were live. Anonymous drops to the New York Times, ProPublica, even that ragtag indie outlet run by ex-Hale whistleblowers. Tweets fired off from burner accounts, Hale Empire Falls, with screenshots blurring the lines between fact and fury. Back at the table, Ethan's phone buzzed incessantly. He glanced at it, paling under the tan. Sir, Victor, this is. We need to talk. I raised his glass, toasting the group to transparency. May it light our way. Elena's facade cracked then, her voice a hiss across the sorbet. You're not my husband. Who the fuck are you? The question hung, unanswered, as the orchestra struck up again, a waltz that mocked the chaos brewing. I pulled her onto the floor, his arms encircling her waist with mechanical precision. She stiffened, perfume sharp as regret. Victor would never humiliate us like this, she spat, steps faltering. What's happened to you? I spun her out, then in, close enough to feel her pulse rabbit. Maybe I've seen the light.
Elena.
Or maybe the dark finally caught up. Her eyes searched his face, my face, and found the stranger. The implant.
Crow?
You crazy bitch. Bingo. She'd known about the tech. Probably shopped for it during one of her European jaunts. But knowing and facing? different beasts. We twirled past the mayor, who was now on his phone, brow furrowed. Whispers spiderwebbed through the crowd. Hale's gone rogue. Did you see the invites? That's the widow. I released her with a bow, leaving her swaying amid the swirl of gowns and tuxes. Time to escalate. The after-party lounge beckoned, smoke-filled. Deal-making den where the real power brokered. I cornered Ethan there, nursing a Macallan neat, his phone a lifeline to damage control. Ethan, my boy, I boomed, clapping his shoulder harder than intended. Heard the mergers teetering. He spun, relief warring with confusion. Mr. Hale, thank God. The leaks, it's bad. SEC's sniffing already. We need to shut it down or own it. I slid into the booth, signaling the waiter for another round. Sophia's out. She knows things. His Adam's apple bobbed. Sophia?
She's
nobody now. Parole means nothing.
wrong.
I was everything. Leaning in, I dropped the bomb. She has the Apex files. All of them. Unless you want to be the next fall guy. Ethan's face drained to the color of bad decisions. What do you want?
Resign.
Tonight. And wire $5 million to the Delgado Foundation. Call it restitution. He balked. But the fresh leaks hitting his feed, headlines screaming, Hale heiress framed, sealed it. By midnight, his resignation email pinged the board. CC to the press. The lounge buzzed. Deals dissolving like sugar in rain. Elena found me on the balcony. The city sprawl a glittering accusation below. Wind whipped her hair. Emeralds glinting like accusations. Sophia. I can smell you on him. That righteous stink. I turned, his profile sharp against the night. Miss me, Mom? She lunged, but I caught her wrists stronger in his frame. You think this fixes anything? We made you. Gave you the life. Stole it. You mean? I shoved the phone at her. Playing the audio, Dad's voice.
Cold as contracts.
Ordering the hit. For the good of the family.
Elena.
Make it clean. Her face crumpled. Not with remorse, but calculation.
He was weak.
I did what he couldn't. And you were complicit. Every ledger you fudged. For you, the shout echoed off the parapet, raw in his timbre. I covered your asses because I thought blood meant something. Turns out it's just ink on a bad check. She wrenched free, straightening her gown. This ends now. I'll call Crow. Reverse it. Too late. The code's mine.
Lie.
But she bought it. Eyes widening in the sodium glow. Sirens wailed distant.
Closing in.
The gala had tipped to pandemonium, guests fleeing as reporters crashed the velvet ropes, demanding quotes on the Hale reckoning. Maria and Jamal had commandeered the mic. Not for vengeance, but truth. Stories of lives upended. Dreams demolished for profit margins. I watched from above, a king in pauper's clothing, as Elena stormed back inside. The clock ticked, 48 hours left in this skin. Enough to torch the rest. Dawn crept over the Hudson like a thief, and I drove his Porsche upstate, not to the estate, but to the old lab Crow had abandoned in the Catskills. The place was a husk, chain-link fences sagging, windows boarded like blind eyes. Inside, amid dust-shrouded consoles, the reversal chamber hummed faintly, waiting for the abort sequence. But I wasn't done. Not yet. A side terminal flickered to life under his fingertips, pulling up the family vaults. Deeper secrets, Mom's affair with a senator, brokered for zoning favors, Dad's bastard son, tucked away in Jersey with hush money. The twist I'd buried even for myself. 20 years ago, the night of my birth, a storm raged over Mount Sinai.
Elena.
In labor, had whispered to the midwife, "If it's a boy, name him Victor Jr." The heir. But I emerged, screaming girl, and in her disappointment, she doped the charts, swapped me at birth with a stillborn from the ward next door. The Hale blood was a lie. I was a changeling, raised in opulence built on a corpse's claim. I'd found the papers years ago, in a locked drawer during a spring clean, confronted Dad once, slurring over scotch. "Doesn't matter. Soft. You're Hale now. Act like it."
Now. It did.
Armed with this, I drafted the final leak, a manifesto from Victor Hale, confessing the fraud, the murder, the swap at birth. Sent to every major outlet, with proofs attached. The empire wouldn't just crack, it would avalanche. Back in the city by noon, the news vans clogged Fifth Avenue like clotting blood. The penthouse was a war room, lawyers barking into phones, Elena pacing in heels that clicked like countdowns. She whirled as I entered. "You've ruined us," she snarled. "Sophia, or whoever the hell you are now. Call me the reckoning." I tossed the vial, the real reversal code, onto the coffee table. One dose ends it. But first, sign the documents. Transfer of control to a trust for the displaced. The foundation. The forgotten. Her hand shook as she scrawled, ink bleeding like tears. As the swap's timer waned, 24 hours, I felt the pull, the ether calling me home. But Elena had other plans. In a blur, she lunged for the vial, smashing it under her heel. "No escape for you, darling. We're in this together now." Panic surged, Crow's warning. Without the code, the hijack becomes permanent.
Means merge.
Identities bleed. I tackled her, his bulk pinning her to the Persian rug. We grappled, a mother-daughter brawl in a father's skin, nails raking, breaths ragged. The doorman pounded the door. "Mrs.
Hale?
Police," as the leaks hit critical mass. Arrest warrants flashing on screens. Victor Hale, wanted for questioning in a decade-old homicide. She laughed through bloodied lips. "You think you win?"
You're me now.
The monster.
No.
I was Sophia. Always had been. The merger of souls started subtly, like whiskey burning slow. As sirens wailed closer, Elena's essence seeped through the cracks, memories unbidden, flashes of her life bleeding into mine. I saw her at 22, clawing from a queen's tenement, seducing her way into Victor's orbit at a Hamptons mixer. The first forgery, thrill of the con. The hit order, not with glee, but necessity. He was going to expose us. Victor. For Sophia's future. Sophia's future. Even in villainy, they twisted it to love. I hauled her up, his arms trembling from the strain. "It's over."
Elena.
"Sign the rest." Her eyes, inches from mine, his glinted with that feral Hale spark.
Never.
"You're trapped." We both are. The door splintered under a battering ram. SWAT in tactical gear flooding the foyer.
Victor Hale.
Hands up. I complied. Slow. Deliberate. Shoving the signed docs into Maria's hands, She'd been ushered up by a sympathetic doorman, Jamal and Carla flanking like sentinels. "Get this out." To everyone. Cuffs clicked cold on his wrists. The march down the service elevator a perp walk for the ages. Paparazzi below captured it all. Elena, disheveled and defiant, loaded into a separate cruiser. Me him, ducking head, but eyes fierce with purpose. The precinct was a fluorescent hell. Interrogation room reeking of stale Joe and desperation.
Detective Ruiz.
The same gravel voice from my arrest. Slid into the seat opposite. File thick as a Bible. Mr.
Hale.
Quite the turnaround. From skipping your kid's gala to crashing your own funeral, I leaned back, his posture commanding even in chains. Life's a bitch. Detective. Turns out, so's family. He flipped open the file, my leaks, printed and time-stamped. This confession. It's airtight. The hit, the laundering, even the birth swap. You really pass off your own daughter with a dead kid? The memory hit then. Elena's, the storm-lashed ward, the midwife's bribe, the wail of the wrong baby. Not my daughter, I echoed her old line. Our legacy. Ruiz's pen scratched. And the body thing? Neural hijack? That's some sci-fi shit. Crows in custody. By the way. Spilled everything for immunity. Good. Loose ends tying themselves. But the merge accelerated, Victor's regrets surfacing like bile. Boardroom betrayals. The affair that sired the Jersey bastard, a son he'd ignored to groom me. I did it for her, his voice echoed in my skull. To make her strong. Strong? Or expendable? Hours blurred into arraignment. Bail denied for flight risk. The cell was solitary, ironic, given the company in my head. Elena in adjacent, her taunts filtering through the bars. Feel it yet? Sophia? The weight. I did. Flashes of her Paris flings. The thrill of auction hammers falling on laundered millions. Hatred warred with pity. She'd been forged in the same fire. A girl from nothing clawing for everything. By dawn, the merge deepened. I dreamed in dual visions. My Chelsea walks. Her Fifth Avenue struts. Waking, I tested the mirror, his face. But my smile creeping in, softening the jowls. The lawyers swarmed, but the trust was ironclad. Maria's foundation absorbed Hale Enterprises, repurposed for affordable housing, worker co-ops. Jamal headed urban renewal, Carla, compliance audits. The Gala's guests became the board, earning what I'd stolen back. Public devoured it. Podcasts dissected the Hale swap saga. Ethicists debated the morality of neural revenge. Tabloids ran who wore it worse, spreads. Protests erupted, justice for Sophia versus Hale hypocrites, sparking Senate hearings on white-collar tech. 36 hours in. The poll reversed. Not the code, but biology. Bodies rejecting the intrusion. I convulsed in the cell. Visions fracturing. Victor's essence surged, fighting for primacy. Let go.
Girl.
This ain't you. But it was. All of it. Medics rushed in, IVs snaking, as the swap unraveled. Consciousness yo-yoed his limo rides. My prison bunks.
Elena.
In her cell, screamed, merging with her own ghosts.
Perhaps.
When I woke in the infirmary, it was my face staring back. Lithe. Scarred from Riker's ink, eyes hollow but whole. Victor's body, comatose in the next bed. Monitors beeping dirge. Doctors murmured. Neural feedback loop. Irreversible damage. He'd live. Vegetative. A monument to hubris.
Elena,
Transferred to psych eval. Raving about changelings. The birth swap confirmed via DNA me. A nobody from the next bed. The stillborn. Very much alive in Jersey. Now claiming his due. Twist sharper than a stiletto. The Jersey son. Alex. Wasn't Dad's dirty secret. He was Elena's. From a pre-Victor affair. The hit? Not just business, covering her infidelity. The real heir's threat. I'd avenged a lie built on another. But in the rubble, truth bloomed. Released on technicalities, victim. Not perp, I stepped into a world remade. The penthouse? Donated to artist co-ops. My old apartment? Sublet to a single mom from the projects. Maria met me at a quiet diner in Harlem. Over eggs and ethics. You did good, Sophia. Messy, but good. Worth the skin crawl? I asked. Fork scraping plate. She smiled.
weary.
In America, nothing's clean. But this, it's a start. Carla called later. From her new corner office. Kid, you owe me a drink.
Non contrabband.
We met at a dive in the village. Shots of tequila burning true. The merge, I confessed. Voice mine again. I saw it all. Their side. She nodded. Wise as scars. That's the real revenge. Understanding the monsters. Then choosing not to be one. Nights were hardest. Dreams tangled. Dad's Senate dreams. Mom's gallery ghosts. But mornings brought purpose, consulting for the new board, testifying on reform. The Gala's echo lingered, empty seats filled by the earned. One twist remained. Alex, the true heir, reached out via letter. I don't want the name. But coffee? Neutral ground. We met in Central Park. Leaves shedding like old skins. He was wiry. Eyes like Elena's sharp.
Seeking.
She told me stories. About a sister who fought dirty to make it right. Not sister, I corrected. But yeah. Dirty works. We talked hours. Forging not blood, but bond. He joined the foundation, channeling her fire without the fraud. The empire fell, but phoenixes rise. Hail Enterprises reborn as Haven Collective, building not walls, but ways up. Controversial? Hell yes. Critics screamed, vigilante justice, lawyers chased class actions. But the streets whispered approval, fewer evictions, more equity. As winter gripped the city, I stood on that plaza balcony, alone this time.
No gowns. No ghosts.
Just wind and wonder. Had I won, or just traded chains? The debate raged online. In bars. In my head. Happy ending? If reclaiming your skin counts. Tragic? When the monsters were mirrors. Either way, I slept sound. The seats were filled. The score settled. Spring thawed the debate, but not the scars. By April 2025, Haven Collective's first project broke ground, Delgado Heights. Affordable units on the ashes of a razed luxury tower. I was there.
Hard hat crooked.
Ribbon scissors heavy in my grip. Cameras clicked, CNN this time. Not scandal sheets.
Sophia Hale.
From inmate to icon. Thoughts on redemption. I paused. The crowd hushed under a tentative sun. Redemption's a myth. It's just showing up. For the ones who couldn't. Maria beamed beside me. Her nonprofit now the backbone. Jamal cracked jokes with the crew. His kids running the site like tiny foremen. Carla, clipboard in hand, shot me a wink. Don't get soft on us. Kid. Soft? Never. The merge had etched permanency, occasional echoes. Like Dad's cigar habit craving nicotine gum, or Elena's flair for drama in my wardrobe choices. Therapy unpacked it, Dr. Lena Voss, a no-nonsense shrink from Brooklyn, called it neural symbiosis. You're a mosaic now, Sophia. Own the pieces. I did. Mornings, I ran the high line, pounding pavement to outpace the whispers. Afternoons, board meetings where ex-tenants grilled me on equity clauses. Evenings, anonymous AA meetings not for booze, but the high of control. Admit the wreckage, the steps urged. Mine was a empire-sized pile. Alex integrated slow, a quiet force. We grabbed falafel trucks in Midtown, dissecting the family fiction. She was fire. Man, he said once.
Sauce dripping.
Burned bright. Burned out. Us too, I replied. Fire signs.
All.
The controversy peaked with the trial. Victor's. Elena's. A circus of suits and subpoenas. I testified. Voice steady under the lights. The swap. The secrets. The birth heist. Jurors gawked at the tech demo's crow. In witness protection. Demoing a dummy implant that made a lawyer twitch like a marionette. Elena's defense? Temporary insanity. Induced by corporate stress. Victor's? Amnesia from the feedback. Bullshit.
Both.
The real twist dropped mid-trial. Forensic dive into Apex revealed not one hit, but a string. Competitors suicided, regulators retired early. The body count?
8.
My stomach turned. Their sins. My inheritance. Verdict. Life for Elena.
No parole.
Victor. Competency hearing pending, his mind a vegetable patch. Sprouting weeds. I visited once. Riker's irony thick. His eyes fluttered. Vacant. Soft. Yeah? The word gurgled. Half hope. Half horror. I squeezed his hand, frail now. It's over.
Dad.
Rest. Outside. Rain slicked the yard. Catharsis? Or just closure's cold kiss? Public split. Feminists hailed me as avenger. Conservatives decried tech terrorism. Protests flared. Burn the rich versus protect the powerful, echoing the Gala's chaos. I dodged the fray. But one op-ed stuck. Sophia Hale, hero or hubris? The American dream's dark doppelganger. Hubris.
Yeah.
The swap hadn't just toppled them, it had tempted me. In Victor's skin, I'd tasted the throne, the ease of command, the thrill of ruin. What if I'd kept it, ruled as him? Twisted the knife slower? Dr. Voss called it this shadow self. You chose light. That's the win. Maybe. Haven thrived. Units leased. Jobs created. I mentored interns, kids from the projects, crunching numbers without the nooses. One, a sharp-eyed girl named Tia, reminded me of me at 16. MS.
Hale.
How'd you know it was worth the fight? I laughed. Bittersweet.
Didn't.
Still don't. But quitting? That's the real loss. Summer brought heat waves and heat, a Senate bill on neural regs, dubbed the Hale Act. I lobbied quiet, backroom chats with the wonks. Ban the black market. I pushed. But don't kill the science. Minds evolve. They listen some. Progress. American style. 2 steps forward. Subpoena back. Alex and I road-tripped the coast, his Harley rumbling under us. Wind whipping lies away. Pacific crash blue. Endless. Think they'd approve, he asked, at a big Sir Cliff. Beers in hand.
Elena?
She'd plot a comeback. Victor? By the beach. We clinked. Toasts to the dead. Not gone. Echoes lingered. Her laugh in my throat during arguments, his gruff in my pep talks. Fall circled back. Anniversary of the swap. The plaza hosted a Haven Gala. Irony intentional. No $15,000 plates. Pay what it can. Proceeds to co-ops. I wore simple black. No emeralds. The table? Filled again, Maria. Jamal. Carla. Alex. Tia and her crew. As I spoke, my voice. Unborrowed. The room rose. Not for the Hales, but the Haven. After. On that balcony. City humming benevolent. Alex joined me. Ending feel right? I breathed deep. Skyline a promise. Debates the point. Happy? Tragic?
Both.
Like life. He nodded. Arms slung casual. Family now.
Yeah.
The earned kind. The debate endures. Water cooler wars. Reddit rants. Was the swap justice or jihad? Did I free the innocent or forge a new tyrant? Readers argue. Books dealed. Series pitched.
Me?
I run toward dawn. Mosaic mending. The seats stay filled. The story?
Ours.
In the end, revenge wasn't the fire, it was the forge. And from its heat, something true emerged.